Introduce the freaking guy.
jeez.
I know he's been here before, but
My
first of all,
God.
this is Armando. Armando's the general manager up at Zooma on Federal Hill, and now we'll let him take it away. Go ahead.
That
Armando.
was fast.
Okay.
This is for you and your family for Christmas
Oh,
Eve.
thank
Per
you
la
very
Vigilia. This is a fantastic product that we're going to try today.
Awesome.
I brought this back after my trip to Italy for the wine show with our friends at Nicola Biscardo Selections and of course Dario Pennino with Morellino di Scansano. This is a sparkling Vermentino.
Really?
So
Awesome. Thank you. That's
hopefully
very
we won't
nice.
have too much of it.
I love
Oh! Now, if this thing iced up, I'd be really be bad luck for me. Of course,
And by the way, we're going to talk about our matching
course,
bracelets here in a
we've
second.
got two of them, and they
You got two? Look at this.
Look at this. This thing, man. I have another one that's cleaner than this, but I really like go back and forth
This
on
is
these.
so freaking fun. Every time he comes in, this happens
We have
to
to.
us.
That's what I just said outside. It's our
Oh.
first discussion. It's the same.
Every
It's
time.
bracelets.
And,
So
this one, we have to give a shout out there
Yes.
to Keith. To Keith from did these during the Columbus Day Festival there in Federal Hill. You have these great, these are paracord and Danger Close's company, and he's a military vet, so we got to give him a big shout out.
And now,
because
let me say,
look at
Keith
these.
has got one. Keith hooked up with one of my friends, Gino, there, and he's got one that's a Napoli bracelet. All
Really?
Napoli colors in the blue and the white. So I got to pick up mine at Gino's house this week. Otherwise, I'd be wearing four of them. So,
we have good taste. What can we say?
what can we say? So a little bit about the sparkling Vermentino. When my friend Rick here called me and said, we're going to do a show about La Vigilia, I said, well, I'd love to, of course. I mean, how could I say no? But I honestly thought, why not bring something that's so incredibly different and special and something that you probably haven't tasted. So, chin chin.
Chin chin. So,
I think it's beautiful. And keep in mind, and I know we're going to get into discussion of what we eat and what we don't eat. It's free.
but it's awesome,
It's
though.
beautiful. One of the things I say is, for me, La Vigilia is something so incredibly special. It's magical. I don't know if you read my article that I wrote in the Echo,
he's
which
a
is
published author now.
Yes,
So we have-
I do it all.
I have a hard time keeping up with it.
Occasionally I tap dance too, but we won't get to that part. But one of the things I said is, for me, La Vigilia has always been something incredibly magical. And one of the things that we did in our household was, yes, obviously being from Naples, the seafood was always key. But one of the really fun part about ours, and something that I brought up in my lifetime, especially on my own after grandmother's been gone and the family's gotten smaller and Americanized,
Right.
the antipasto platter, the big. I can always remember the
Yep.
the smoked salmon pate, the prosciutto, the cheeses. This wine goes well with all of it.
It's funny. I do that any pasta platter they're talking about for every holiday. I don't care what it is. I do it for every
course.
holiday. I made it for Thanksgiving. Everybody's like, "That's Italian." I'm like, "I don't care. That goes good with everything."
And it does it. And we have and we're left really with, I'm going to go against the grain for once here.
No,
Shocker.
you never go against the grain.
I find, we've Americanized the word Feast of the Seven Fishes. To us, to our family, it was not about seven fishes. It was literally what my grandmother and my mother, and I tell the story, again, vividly and probably with a little bit of tear in my eye because I remember a moment that I don't know if I could ever get back.
Right.
But my grandmother and my mother would leave the house on the morning of the 24th at about 3:30 a.m. And then my sister eventually, as she grew older, she did the same thing. And they would go and get all the fish, be back by 8 o'clock. Grandma, La Nonna, would get into that room in the kitchen at 8 o'clock. And it was like swords flying all over the sky. And I remember every year with the capitone. Sai qual è il capitone?
Yep.
The capitone is the eel. And my grandmother would put this thing in the sink, and these eels would just go. And then grandma would just take a knife and just slap, and it was just gruesome.
I had people joking around how they bring the eels back and they put them in the bathtub till they're
Yeah,
ready for them.
and it was like for a 5-6-year-old kid to see that was the most gruesomest thing. You're like, wow, this is so wonderful. And I could remember that. And the other thing I could remember was that the head of the octopus. And again, keep in mind here, even when we do it here, the octopus are usually frozen. Over there, the octopuses are
coming
alive.
right out of the water, yeah.
And these things are still kind of moving. And you're like dunking it in like 3 times. And this is again
But you can't get any fresher than that.
No, and the other one that was always an obvious was something called stock. Stock is a bacala.
Okay.
But it's a much drier, had a much deeper aroma than your usual bacala, which was really strong.
So, I mean, you've had I'll say the best of both worlds in my opinion, but you've had the best of both worlds in carrying these over. And these memories that are in your mind about La Vigilia, you're living them now. You're making them stay
Yeah.
here and come through, and what you do at Zoom, and what you do in your personal life, of how you
Yeah.
do it. And Armando stays very connected. And one of the best things that I love about his connections is this right here. So we stay connected to all things Italian with wine producers, wine makers that have come over to Zooma. You've been over to the country many times for it.
Sure.
I see you and your mother still conversing Italian on a
Oh, yeah.
regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
So when it comes time for La Vigilia at Zooma, and we're going to come back to your memories and the traditions a little bit more, but let's talk about what you're doing at Zooma for La Vigilia.
Zooma is a very cool because this is actually something that got started way before I ever got there. And but again, one of the nice things about it is we've been able to really kind of work with it in the years that I've been at Zooma. And you're getting 3 courses, and we stopped counting how many fishes we get. It's 3-7. I don't know. Maybe it's 3-9 or 3-11. It's whatever Chef Ash can get on a plate. But one of the things we really went with is, you start with our soup, and this year it's our lobster bisque, and it's fantastic. And it's again, you need soup on a menu in December in Rhode Island, as we witnessed outside. We got here.
After today, oof.
But the second one has always been my favorite. We do a seafood salad, and it's veered. Someone makes it one way, some makes it, but we take the baby octopus, the little baby octopus, and we get them in one, in a marinade of themselves, and then we do the shrimp in another marinade, and we do all the different fishes that again chef decides to go, and then we basically, after they're all marinated on their own, we marinate it together.
Wow.
Little lemon citronette, we put it on crostini. It's fabulous, and then we do the obvious. Because, on Napoli, you can't have Christmas Eve without spaghetti che vongole, which is the spaghetti with the vongole with a little bit of macchiato tomato sauce, not heavy tomato, just a little smear of tomato.
Right.
And then we add some mussels on it because, we love Americans, more Rhode Islanders love mussels. And then what we do is we put a nice little piece of salmon to it. It's a lot of food. It's a lot of food.
But you're saying it comes out as 3 courses.
It comes in 3 courses, 3
Right.
different, and it's for $49. And and one of the things that I love is the old Italians, the old Italian Americans that come see us, who are just in love and enamored by it. And I have a group that comes in. Usually a couple days before, there's 8 of them, and these dudes have been together for a long time.
So
They
it's
must
their
be
tradition.
and they come in, and that's all they get is that dish, and and they love it, and that's really what's become kind of for us. It's very traditional for people to come and eat that at our restaurant, which is important.
So have you found, and you've been there for a little while now, have you found that people, there's the group, like you said, that's very familiar with it, people that understand it, have celebrated there. Have you found that there are new people accepting the tradition because A, they find the culture fascinating, and B, they love the food?
Yeah, I think again, but everything Italian is people love. I mean, I hate to say that, but culturally, we are a.
He doesn't have to hate to say it. I agree.
We are a culturally, we are a live country. We are alive. We're happy. Can you? Every time I come here, this place goes loud. Okay? We're very. That's what we are. And people, again, you're gonna have your people that aren't gonna like aren't gonna like seafood, and they're not, and this and that. But overall, I mean, we find that most people that come in and see that are like, yeah, I'm doing that, and that's right off the bat. And I go back. I tell my staff all the time, you can't sell it to everybody, but if you sell it to one or twice a day per group
Right.
that comes in, why not? It's a good sell.
And it seems like, you guys and John Marco's coming next, you offer it for a good amount of time. So you've
14
got-
days.
Yeah. So as it's getting closer to Christmas Eve, it seems like people are enjoying it
Yeah.
more, and it's becoming, like you said, groups coming in, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we do, and the best is also Christmas Eve, which as most people, we're open, obviously we're all open on Christmas Eve, but a lot of these families are coming in Christmas Eve to have that dish,
Right.
and again, that's the way that they bring back the memories that I was given to them, and that's special. It's really, really special.
So now I got to talk in the beginning with Zach, who's with Holy Ghost Church, and he gave a great overview on the church
Great
and history and
figgy
things to do.
the
Yeah.
figgy seki are out of this world.
Yeah, and he's a great young guy that's bringing back these traditions. And I think that to talk about that and everybody coming together, and I mentioned this to Julia as well, is to get everybody up on Federal Hill to kind of keep pushing these traditions and keep going. And yourself and John Morocco are great examples of that. And when John comes in, I'll give him his due credit. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be doing this segment today, because John's got a good way of nudging people. He makes posts on social media that you have to respond to. So I get to bust his chops before he comes in. So to be able to have that, to be able to influence, and I don't mean influence in a negative way, but influence people to try these things, to be a part of it, to remember their past.
Sure.
I mean, I could honestly tell you is that my first year in college is I thought that I was gonna lose everything that I grew up with, and then I wandered upon Cafe Dolce Vita my freshman year, and I ended up having this before I even went home for Christmas. So it's, that to me, as I think, is authentic in what we can provide here. From your perspective, and some other guests, and growing up in Italy, and having that, and you were born in Italy, and to still be able to keep the traditions. I love when I see him and his mother. It's like I never know what to say to them because they're both talking so fast to each other. Is that I just wait till they're done. It's like
how it works. And I'll tell you, I'll give you one more just out of whack. We have my sister is actually coming from Italy for the holidays. So
really,
my home this year is going to be quite loud and obnoxious and boisterous, just like me, because they're all like me.
Never.
And the fun part is this is a really special year for me. I have not had an opportunity to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas with my mom and my sister and and her husband and my family all in one house, and that's huge. To me, that's, again, it's almost on the emotional side, because we get wrapped up and we lose that moment. And I don't know how to explain it to somebody, and Rick, you may know this, but try after it's all done, dinner's done, which takes a good 5 to 6 hours on Christmas Eve, to sit down and play a little tombola with our bingo, our Neapolitan bingo, the dirty bingo we call it. Okay, and you put the my sister called me. She said, don't forget to buy the bag of beans, because you take the raw beans and you put them on the numbers when you're playing bingo.
You're kidding me.
I mean, this is a cultural thing that I can't explain, and it gives me the chills just thinking about it. It runs through us as natural born Italians. And
I think we should have Armando write a guide to how to be an Italian over Christmas, so we could do that. But
by the way, Dario's watching us from Napoli. He's one of the guys that. Dario, fantastico, eh?
Thank you for
Forza Napoli.
Thank you very much. Grazie, prego.
Okay.
So now we got a couple more minutes, and we usually get into this at the end here. I'm talking about the wines and stuff, but I do want to, before we get to the wines, I want to talk about just a couple more of things of the traditions. Do you experience, or have you seen, your guests experience some of these other things? And the Epiphany keeps coming up because that's one that's taken a place very soon. And I've seen a lot of people on social media while I was researching to prepare this segment saying that yes, we do celebrate that, and it's kind of a second Christmas, if you will, for their families.
I caught wind of the conversations that you were having before with your other guests, and I got into a conversation about Santa Lucia and then a couple of different. L'Epifania for us was not a huge holiday, because us Neapolitans, again, we are all about Christmas Eve. And I did hear the story about somebody getting dressed up as a witch.
Mm-hmm.
That did happen in my house. My grandmother, my aunts used to do that all the time. And if you were bad, they would give you these black sugar coal in your stocking. Me. No, I'm dead serious. Oh. Drop sugar coal, and you're like, all right, I get coal. Great. And you would eat it because it was sugar, But again, it's not as much. We still tend to be all about La Vigilia. And again, I push back to us the word La Vigilia. Again, it's just something magical. There's just something to it, and it's very, very, very cool.
So from that end, and we're going to get to the wine segment in just a second here, and thank this guest, thank the person again from Napoli watching us, because they're going to be almost 10 o'clock at night over there. What are some of let's say, what's your one or two favorite pieces of La Vigilia from the seafood perspective? What do you hear?
Seafood perspective.
Because there's covering 7 to 9 fishes and 3 courses,
27, But my two favorite is the octopus salad, anzala di burro, especially the way my mother makes it. A little garlic with the little parsley on the back end, just lemon. But for me, something that I brought into the United States that in Italy you don't do is lobster. And we Christmas Eve I'm boiling lobsters, folks. I have to, because it's something that I picked up, and I'll explain why. In Italy, lobsters are very expensive. Money is not something that you can. That lobster is a form of almost a
extravagance a little bit.
Extravagance, and especially this year, where my Italian family coming in from Italy doesn't eat lobster. This is a really great feeling, and again, being that I'm a wine guy, lobster to me in its boiled sense with a little butter is one of the best dishes to drink with any white wines on the planet. I mean, it's just, and you know how I am about white wines.
I'm not going to argue with that.
So to me, that also really helps out a lot. But those are the two dishes that for me. But the octopus salad is just
Yeah.
You don't go wrong.
Wines. Your wine list is pretty extensive. You bring a lot of great wines in. You were just saying white wine going with
Yeah.
lobster. Are your guests experimenting with more wines
Oh,
than
yeah.
this when it comes to it? I mean, because when you're having seafood, I'm not going to order a bottle. I'm going to come in and say, okay, I want a different glass.
That's
with
how
each
I
course
do
to
it.
do it. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
To me, I have some really, I do tell people, if you're gonna eat seafood, especially with the seven fishes, sparkling is fantastic. I've got some great sparkling. Sparklings are really beginning to just kind of do this change, kind of like rosés did years ago.
Right.
People are drinking them not only as Prosecco's, you're drinking them as, like a great sparkling Vermentino, great sparkling Greco di Tufo, even a sparkling with a rosé tint. It's beautiful. But for me, I always go back to the wines of where I grew up, and that's, the Greco di Tufo, the Falanghina, and I'm seeing people, love it. And I'm seeing people doing more of that. Plus, we've given them an option of trying a couple of reds that we have in-house that go incredibly well with seafood. I have a Ciliegolo from the same company that is outstanding, and it goes perfectly well.
But that's important for people to know, is that, again, with the experimenting. So whether you're experimenting or it's a tradition, try something different with it. Do a little
And ask us.
differentiation.
I mean, you're coming to my place, ask us. My staff and I are, they're ready to go. And if they can't answer it, I can answer it. So it's awesome.
Like I said, the decibel always goes up. I always get to drink a little more wine when Armando comes in because I don't have to talk as much. So it's always great having him in. And thank you very much for
Buon
coming.
Natale, bello,
Wonderful.
grazie.
Thank you.
Saluto.
Thank you. So
Merry Christmas, folks.
thank you, buddy.
You can have that.
Oh,
Actually, the
look,
girls
yeah,
are.
bring this up to the
Yeah,
girls.
the
They're
girls
really-
are like,
the
what are
girls
we drinking?
The girls are ready. I can hear them
What
pour it
are-
out
yeah,
there already.
there it is. Always get clapped for that.
They're already all ready for it.